Wear pajamas. That won't require a lot of change of pace for me necessarily. So
yes, the famous matte plaid pants. Those are my favorite matte pants.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I kind of miss wearing regular pants now. We've been in the pandemic this long that it's gone full circle, and now I'm like, too many pajama pants.
I'm going to say, Matt, as somebody who had to go take new headshots and had to wear jeans and heels on the same day after being in only leggings and sweatpants, the grass is greener on the other side. I felt like I was in a torture device. You do not want to wear pants. Take my word for it.
Hello! Hi!
Hello!
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. It's fall now.
It is fall. That's weird. It's usually my favorite time of year, but it's odd to have fall indoors.
Yeah, it's also odd that it's 102 degrees outside right now.
Yeah, to be fair, I love the idea of fall.
Okay.
We don't really have much of a fall in Los Angeles, really ever, which is why I admire all my East Coast friends and other people in the world that have seasons from a distance.
It was really nice when I lived in Michigan because I knew it was like sweater weather and like wool skirts and tights and boots. And then here in LA, I wear that, but then I crank on the AC just so I can feel something.
It's true. I love coats and long sleeves and dark clothing, and that's like most of my wardrobe that I never wear because it's just too hot. You think I'd learn after most of my life, but nah.
I buy coats. Where am I wearing a coat?
Same.
When am I wearing a coat? I don't know.
Yeah. At least you know it's there. You can go and look at it and sigh loudly and go, that was a weird purchase.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
Because we need to feel something.
Oh, there it is. Yep, there. Yeah.
We say this like we didn't spend 20 minutes before filming this talking about Hades and our obsession. But
Matt, as much as I so enjoy talking to you and filming Critter Hug, and this is a very important show with very important people, I want to go back and play Hades. Like, I'm sorry. Like, all I'm thinking about is the fact that my Switch is right there and that I'm not playing Hades right now.
And let everyone know this is how much Mica loves and appreciates you all, that she's taking a break from Hades.
It's true.
To do this episode.
I'm taking a break from a bunch of Greek gods that are just there to just be adorable and beautiful to do this. Yeah. I love you guys.
Do you have any plans or anything you're thinking about how to adapt Halloween in the pandemic?
Well, so the sad thing is I live very far up a hill in a small neighborhood. So I never get trick-or-treaters anyway. So I don't have to adapt at least for that because nobody wants to walk up my large series of hills to get to my house.
Fair enough.
But I think the sad part that I don't know if I can adapt, but maybe we'll do it via Zoom, is like Halloween is my time to like Mean Girls Halloween, like go out and wear something cute and party. Mm-hmm. There's a pandemic. I won't be doing that. But maybe I'll wear like a Halloween costume in my room and drink wine with friends over Zoom.
I think that's exactly what I'm doing. So
you're also going to get the slutty nurse outfit?
I mean, I was hoping to. It doesn't look as good when I'm sitting, unfortunately.
That's fair, yeah.
Oh, I'm working on it.
Do you have any plans?
No, my plans are just that. Like, probably throw on a costume and see friends on Zoom and have us all drink remotely. I think that sounds... Because there has to be something. Like, once again, Halloween, for me, is my favorite holiday probably every year. Yeah. And I need to try and express it in some way with the people that I want to see. So
do you want to carve pumpkins over Zoom? We carved pumpkins together last year. We can a Zoom pumpkin carving this year.
I'm actually all about that. Because if we can get pumpkins delivered, we'll figure something out.
Oh, yeah. Never forget, a year ago this month, you guys made me watch horror movies.
We did. We did. I was proud of you.
Thank you. I had nightmares.
Yay!
Yay! But I do think that I am going to at least dress up Rainy because it's her first Halloween. So I think tentatively our plan is going to be I'm going to be Han Solo and she's going to be Chewbacca.
Oh my God. I can't even.
I'm going to put a little C4 belt on her.
I can't even. Oh my goodness. Please take pictures.
Oh, 100%. We're going to do a full photo shoot. Like, she already looks like Chewbacca, so I'm just not going to give her cut. and she can just grow out all scruffy, and then I'm going to brush her out so she's really scruffy, and then I'm going to make her go, I can't wookie noise, but you know.
That was close enough. It's fine.
Are you going to dress up Laura up?
I hadn't considered it until Marisha it hit her, and then she ordered 3 costumes, of which kind of fit, which is perfect.
Oh, little chunky boy.
Yeah, he's a little brick. Corgis are proportionally odd compared to other dogs in which the general costumes are designed for. Mm-hmm. But she got like a little squirrel on a saddle that you put on, so like this little squirrel riding Omar. She got a lobster, which is like the body's a little too small and the headpiece is a little too big, so it's just floppy. And let me see, I think I had a picture of it the other day. If I can pull it up and show it here. And the third is a little like rocket booster, like a astronaut kind of suit. Here we go. I don't know if you can actually see here. This is
oh, look at the lobster eyes.
Yeah,
what a cute little
doesn't
baby.
Quite fit.
No, it fits perfectly.
It's
I don't
perfect.
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So yeah, that happened.
Well, we will have to make sure that while we're doing Zoom pumpkin carving, we'll hold up our costumed puppies so they can say hello to each other to the camera.
I like this plan. This is a great plan.
Dope.
But on that note, we have some amazing things to talk about for this episode of Critter Hug in preparation for this fall season and kind of the communal unity of enduring this weird time together and trying to bring some light and joy into your life as much as it brings into ours and to these wonderful people we're going to talk with today.
Yay!
So I'm excited about that.
Me too! Fall hugs. Are they pumpkin spice scented?
Probably, whether we choose to or not, everything is pumpkin spice detailed in this season.
I like this. I want every transition to be like smell-o-vision.
If only.
If only.
It's the one thing that I've loved growing up, and then it became very basic, and I was like, yeah, but I still love it. So. But to that point, let's go ahead and jump into our first segment, shall we?
Let's do it.
Now, role-playing can be an expensive hobby, but with dungeon tiles and minis and paints and Sam Regal's liability insurance, it can eventually add up. So it's good to know that you don't have to spend a lot of money to up your game, not if you're willing to get a little crafty. Now enter Vee Mus'e, also known as the Crafting Muse. Now she's a former teacher and a current dungeon master for Kobold Press that has spent the last 3 years demystifying the art of tabletop crafting. Her extensive library of YouTube tutorials covers everything from thatched roofs to tombstones, dice towers, even DIY gelatinous cubes. Because when it comes to gelatinous cubes, yeah, you can buy store-bought, but nothing beats homemade. Now, Vee's relaxing and practical approach makes her designs feel accessible to anyone, whether you're a crafting novice or a glue gun sharpshooter.
You know, hearing that Vee was a former teacher is the least surprising thing I have ever heard, because her tutorials are so accessible and, like you said, calming. But also, I feel like everybody had that art teacher that changed their lives forever. And I feel like Vee is one of those art teachers that are going to like change dungeon masters and players' lives forever because her tutorials are awesome.
Oh, straight up. There's something about crafting, crafting in general, but definitely crafting terrain and things for your RPG game that harken back to that kind of elementary school arts and crafts experience where there was, no judgment about the things you made. And her approach lacks all judgment or any sort of expectation. And there's like a genuine excitement in the way that she presents things about how she found out how to hack, these major builds and these really, really cool final products to be done by pretty much anybody. And I've been enthralled with her work since she started her channel. And I'm excited that we, actually have a chance to talk about her work here.
Absolutely. And anybody that can take something that's kind of daunting to the average crafter, the average D&D lover, as building huge immersive sets or even making a gelatinous cube, and just it breaks it down into accessible bite-sized pieces. Like, that's admirable to me, because I know that things like that can be kind of scary. You look at a huge castle with smoke and water falling down and you think, I can never get there. Why even try? But yeah. I feel like with Vee, that thought never crosses your mind, because it's like, oh, I'll get there. Maybe it'll be some trial and error, but I'll get there.
There's also kind of a cool aspect, and we both can appreciate this as cosplayers. There's an element of seeing what would normally be unrelated or non-useful elements to the world around you and being able to visualize it as a piece of terrain, whereas like I'd go into a Home Depot and see a PVC pipe and be like, that looks kind of like Cloud's bracer, or like, just having that extra layer of how could this very like normal, non-useful element of unrelated, fluff or whatever could be instead now crafted into something wholly unique and beautiful and unlike how it was previously found for the purposes of your tabletop game. And Vee very much helps you begin to like see through that lens and keep that in mind when you go out to the store, when you finish unwrapping packages and you see the remaining, foam packing behind, how these can all be repurposed to create really cool things that you would never have thought of.
Matt, you're just making a whole new generation of hoarders.
Yay! Join us.
Join us. I know cosplayers and dungeon crafters, the two biggest hoarders in the crafting community.
No joke. And I think to go ahead and expand upon that, we are very pleased to have Vee here to talk with us about herself, her work, her channel, and all the cool things that she's been up to.
Yay!
Vee, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I've been fan of your work for quite some time as a person who has spent many years building his own terrain at home for his games and usually failing miserably and getting frustrated at the waste of materials. It was awesome to come upon your plethora of content about creating affordably, really, really high quality terrain for your games at home. So how did that come around for you? How did your DIY dungeon crafting come about, really?
A little bit of grew up with stuff like that and stumbled into it. So it's I've always been crafting even since I was little. My mom was an interior designer, so there was constantly like fabrics and different types of materials and everything like that. So for me it was, I want to add this to my dollhouse. So I was already making small little things for small little dollhouses since I was a kid. And then fast forward so many years, it turned into started playing D&D with a family and turning out because, little ones, you got to kind of keep them occupied at the table beyond just here's a grid and here's a, don't give them M&Ms, they'll eat it. That type of thing. We're like, oh, okay, then there needs to be more to this. So it turned into starting to make little bits of terrain is really what it was. It was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of like what I did years ago, but make it a castle. And it turned into that, my sharing it in what's now the Tabletop Crafters Guild group. And people saying, I really like how you did that. How did you make it? And then that's where the tutorials and everything built into it. So it was sort of like an unintentional snowball is really how it all happened. It was something where I already had the concepts, knew how to do things like that. But then it was like, oh, well, we want, walls. Sure, I'll make some walls. We need this. Yeah, let's see what happens. And that's really been the whole start of it all.
Hell yeah. Now, awesome. What was your first real terrain creation? Like, how did it turn out?
Oh, the first massive terrain creation. I still have pictures of it too. It was, the pilly foam molds you can get for electronics.
Yeah.
Got one of those for a monitor and computer. And I was looking at them. I'm like, that's a temple. And of course, like, what? And it turned into this massive temple layout just using the shapes from the molds. And that was my first big thing of terrain. So it had diamond floor pattern. It had this sandstone work paint job going around it. And then water effects.
That's
water effects. Yeah.
So, wow. So as somebody who's not a DM or a crafter, all of this could sound super intimidating and terrifying. Could you possibly suggest a beginner's entry level craft? Where should we start? If we're not going to start with the temple terrain, maybe it's a little smaller.
What I would definitely recommend is it's a lot easier to start with scatter pieces than trying to build the whole scene right from the word go. So things like, a pile of runes. Just learning how to get the stone effect, learning how to attach the foam to each other without melting everything, because that's a real problem.
Scraping on foam. Don't do that.
Don't do that. No. Forewarning. But yeah, basically start out the little pieces to kind of help you learn the techniques and the tricks to make, cheap pieces of material like newspaper and toilet paper that's been watered down with PVA glue look like more expensive things when all is said and done with it. And definitely, scope out what other people are doing on YouTube, because there's tons of great resources out there to guide you. And, hey, my channel's been known to help beginners too. But yeah, definitely more bite-sized pieces is the way to get into terrain. I would highly recommend, because I've seen it where people have jumped into really big and impressively thought out projects, and they get like a third of the way through and it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, or it's not what I wanted, and they give up on it. So it's, keep it to something you can do in a weekend.
That checks out. Yeah, the incremental skill learning process really kind of helps out. I've ruined, like I said before, many pieces of terrain doing exactly what you said. Like, I got this. I want to skip to the front of the line. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. For me, terrain creation, miniature painting is a very zen experience. It's especially in these weird times where we try finding those places to kind of center ourselves becomes very important. And that is very much for me. Is it very much a zen experience for you?
Oh, completely. It's one of those things where I will grab a few minis, get down to my little art desk, and just sort of be like, do not disturb mode. And it's just give me my time with my miniatures and the paints, and let me see what I can do with it. And the cool thing is doing mini painting classes at conventions, it happens in groups too. Like, not even kidding. Like, people, they'll get to this point, I'm like, okay, we hit the zen, because everyone's quiet, everyone's painting. You can even hear like everyone's breath evening out. And I'm like, okay, they're getting into it. So it's absolutely cool. A thing. It is such a thing, and I love it.
I've never observed a group painting session. I've only been part of it. And like, thinking back, that would not surprise me at all. Yeah, there is kind of, I can see a rhythmic kind of meeting each other through the breathing. Oh, that's so cool.
That's really
it's like, you can almost like feel it in the air when it happens. And it's like, I sit there, I'm like, yes, it's such a great moment.
Oh, man.
I want to experience that with you guys.
I
know. Right?
Whenever we can emerge.
Right, from the caves.
I know. We'll find
when we're safe to get out.
Right.
We'll find our group zen again. I trust.
And speaking of group painting events, you obviously do a lot of really cool work with WizKids. I almost brought my dragon to show off to everyone. I should have. I'll make sure to go grab him so we can get a B-roll of that. But, play events aren't as much of a thing as they were. So how are you helping WizKids adapt, since I don't think that Discord group breathing is the same as in-person group breathing?
It really, I mean, there is Discord breathing, but that's a different story. No, what you can basically do is...
imagine Discord breathing right now sounds kind of like the old Friday the 13th. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, continue.
It's been something where it's the whole, the paint night events, they are now doing the kits. So it's something where you can get the kits from your FLGS. And there are tutorials there in terms of you could scan the QR code and watch a tutorial and paint the miniatures at home. So that's sort of how WizKids has been working with it as well. And I have made a few videos for them to help stores who want to do additional take-home type of deals with different miniatures. And I actually have a stream with them now on their YouTube channel where I actually just did the first miniature painting of a flump. But I'm hoping that I can start doing more of those on their channel so that, oh my God, it's just, the cuteness won me over. I had to.
I love it.
But yeah, so hopefully more of that, just to kind of keep everyone engaged and interested in mini painting, and, try and give them the information ahead of time. Like, these are the paints I'll use, and let's talk about it. And this is why I do that technique. But, it's definitely a different experience doing it between the screens as opposed to being able to do it in a room together. But it's something.
It's something, and that means a lot to a lot of people out there. So, so we talked about how you got into building your own terrain, minis and such, as well as kind of you have a very much of a MacGyver type feel when it comes to it. Kind of whatever's around you, empty your junk cabinet and see what you can piece together to make these amazing things. What of all the pieces you've made, what piece of terrain or gaming material have you made that you're the most proud of? That's your favorite challenge that you succeeded at?
Oh, okay. That is going to... Cobalt Press asked me to make the city of Zobek for them. Highlights from Zobek. So
pictures of this.
Yeah. So We focused on the market. I also did the gate. And there are a couple other bigger pieces. And I was really quite pleased with how it all came out. But for me, the culmination of it all together is really what I'm most proud of, because it was at PAX Unplugged last year where I got to go downstairs between my own painting session stuff to check out one of the DMs who was running a game. And I walked in, and it was a father, a mother, and their 2 kids sitting around the table, and they were using the terrain I had made for Kobold Press. And the kids were there eating it up. It was like their first time playing D&D and everything like that. So for me, it was sort of like a come full circle, because there I was standing, seeing a family getting into D&D together, and my terrain was part of it. So that was just, that honestly was like my most treasured project. Absolutely. Because of that. Yeah, me too. Like,
misty-eyed. That's like really.
I know, right? Sorry, I made you cry.
No, that's such a beautiful story, and I just hearing that, as you said, that you started when you were a child, building and crafting. That could have lit the spark in that child at the table to start building and crafting. And I just, oh man, no, we can't get emotional.
I know, right?
Makeup on. I can't do this.
We totally can. We get emotional on this channel all the time. It's our MO.
It's so
I've cried on the internet more times than I can count.
Oh God, isn't that real?
That's a mood.
Well, speaking of that small child that has probably started putting snow on trees now because of you, what piece of advice can you give to aspiring new crafters really wanting to get into this? I mean, Matt here, he's a genius. We've seen his stuff. He knows what he's doing. You, obviously, culmination of your craft. Me, however,
okay.
I look at like cardboard tubes and I think that that's good enough. So what could you tell me, a dum-dum, how to be good at this?
It's okay to think outside the box, give it a try, and still fail. Failing is not a bad thing when it comes to crafting, because you are going to learn from your mistakes and do better for the next time. Failure is actually a good thing. And in fact, it's not even failure. It's a lesson in the process.
And that's just kind of great advice.
Life advice.
In all circumstances, but definitely applies to terrain creation. Hell yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
We got emotional. We got deep. Like,
is what I do.
These past 10 minutes, I've learned a lot about myself.
Oh, this is the cheapest therapy session I've had in a while.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Stares into the abyss.
Right. Well, thank you, Vee, so much for joining us.
You're
it's an absolute
welcome.
pleasure. Keep doing your amazing stuff. We'll keep watching and learning as we do. And where can our audience keep up with your exploits and your fantastic talents?
Well, for the best exploits, it's definitely Twitter. So that's just at the Crafting News is honestly the best place to find me. And I will lead you to other resources from there. I am on Facebook. There's a page there. And Instagram, I'll share photos every so often of miniatures that I'm working on at the time. And those are really the big 3 for sure, where you can find me. And it's all the Crafting Muse in one way, shape, or another.
Your Twitter is delightful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so
take
much
care
for
of yourself.
joining us.
Yeah.
You too. Thank you so much.
No, we'll see you on the other side.
See you on the other side.
Next up, we are giving a hug to The Companion's Tale, which is an epic game of map-making and storytelling. It is a game where 4 players collectively craft the tale of an epic hero, but here's the twist. The tale is told through the points of views of those on the periphery, not the hero themselves. Over the course of 3 acts, players take on the role of companions that have witnessed the hero's deeds. They build a map of the world the hero inhabits and tell their side of the hero's story. Like, imagine hearing a story about Luke Skywalker, but it's through the point of view of those fish nuns he was living with in The Last Jedi. Using a deck of cards, players draw themes and character roles that inform their side of the story, adding to the intricate tapestry of this hero's fable. And The Companion's Tale is available now on Indie Press Revolution. So, there you have it.
There you have it. The whole concept behind this excites me, partially because it's a great game. I haven't yet had the chance to play, but I've read up on it thoroughly, and I'm excited to. But I've always been fascinated with the idea of the hero's journey with the hero removed. Like, playing through Dragon Age, taking that moment of going, what do they talk about when I'm not around? Like, are they like, he's kind of a dick, right? Like, and being able to kind of imagine what that experience and perspective is like, and to have it like already baked into the rules of a game, let alone one that's so welcoming in the collaborative storytelling experience is just awesome to me.
Absolutely. And there's something about getting the other side of a very often told story that is always intriguing, because we hear so much about the heroes, what they're doing, what's going on with them. You know, you always wonder, how do the citizens feel when the Avengers wreck New York? You know, or how does any maid or blacksmith or et cetera, what have you, feel about the person that they're helping, working for, working with, while they're just off gallivanting and leveling up? It's just such a fascinating concept that I think we all think about, but has never been put on paper until now.
I feel like playing this game and then going back to an RPG where you are the hero is going to kind of help inform how you treat NPCs and try and shape those interactions going forward. Like, well, I really don't want to piss off that guy at the shop. You know, I know he's just selling me some leather armor, but he's got a family probably. And he's going to tell him about me when he gets home that night. And I want to leave a good impression. I think it's a good social learning experience built into the game as well.
It is. You never want to be the cause of that one kobold coming home and going, honey, hard day at work. You know, you never want to be the cause of that, of the slamming down of the briefcase and the coat. You want to be like, you'll never guess what the hero did today, and it was great. That's what you want.
And the map building aspect, I think, is brilliant. I've loved building maps, but I've been so bad at it, you know, through the years, and having to learn slowly from just trying to see what's out there and what makes sense, learn about geography, and then fail to remember things about geography. And, you know, the fact that this has built into a way to kind of teach players how to, you know, build a role-playing game, you know, fantasy map together, I think is also going to help kind of lend a lot of really helpful utilities to anybody who wants to do any world building or create and run their own role-playing games down the road.
Absolutely. And we actually got to talk to Laura, who wrote The Companion's Tale, which is an honor because Laura is an award winner. So that's super dope. So let's take a look at that. Hello, Laura. Thank you for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here.
Indeed.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited.
Of course, we're excited.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit just like about yourself, about your background, just in case people who are viewing this aren't familiar with you and your work?
Sure. So I'm a game designer. I'm also a user experience designer. I'm best known for my game Companion's Tale. It is a analog game. It's a storytelling map making game about the companions of a hero. And the hero is constructed through the stories that the companions tell, make the entire world and everything. I've also contributed to smaller analog games. I make nano games. Let's see. So some of the other contributions I've been a part of, I've written additional content for Prince Valiant, Damn the Man. Also, I have written nano games for the nano game anthology that's coming out this October, and also hashtag feminism. It's an award anthology. So yeah, if you've been looking at indie games, you might have seen something I've written.
That's awesome. Well, now to start off specifically from Companion's Tale, one of my favorite aspects of some of my favorite stories, including like Marvel's Powers, the comic, and I guess TV show as well, is the idea of taking what's classically understood as a central journey around a character and instead seeing it from an outside perspective. And that's what's one of the really, really cool things about Companion's Tale and the experience that you get to, you know, construct and allow people to kind of live through. What was the initial inspiration for your creation of that game? What was it that got you to go, this needs to be made?
So I enjoy playing indie games a lot, and I enjoy playing more mainstream games as well. But one thing I really wanted to do was to be able to have a little bit more agency in terms of how the world is built. And I was captivated. At the same time that I was thinking of this game, I was playing a lot of Avery Alder's A Quiet Year. And I was reading N.K. Jemisin and Patrick Rothfuss, and both of those are like they're sci-fi and fantasy authors that really create these rich worlds where you get a sense of there are things going on in the world that you're not always going to be privy to, but you're part of it. And I really liked how complete it felt. And also, I'm a big fan of the Dragon Age series. Just I really loved how it felt when I would play a fantasy character, and I really love those interactions between your main protagonist and companions, and I really liked how that felt. So when it came down to game design, I really wanted to kind of create a similar feeling of agency and a feeling that everything that the players put into the world matters. So that was something that really drove my game design process. I really loved the idea of creating a map over time, and I loved the idea that people would everyone contribute to it, and you have a lot of agency. So this game really has a ton of individual player agency in terms of the stories that you tell as a companion. The hero is only known through the companion's tale. So they're not a player. They're just this, they kind of become this collective good, but it's also very private too. So each one, if we were playing now, would be able to contribute something to the hero, and our individual perspectives would be respected. So it's kind of interesting. It's a way that you could share spotlight across all the players, and that's baked right into the game. Being able to have a lot of autonomy and ways of interpreting, and it creates a really interesting friction. So that's something that those are all things that I really wanted to just bring into the single game.
So cool.
Really cool. And all of these super cool components have culminated in the Companion's Tale winning the 2020 Indie Groundbreakers Game of the Year. So congratulations. Round of applause for that.
Thank you so much.
What was going through your mind when you found out about that win?
Oh, I was overwhelmed. I was so excited. It means a lot to me because in many ways it's like my peers are recognizing there was a lot of work, just work of iterating and testing, art directing. So I'm part of Sweet Potato Press. It's me and one other person, and then we're just working with other people to make our games come to reality. So it was really a huge labor of love, and it felt amazing. I'm so excited that I got recognized. So it really means a lot to me.
That's awesome. Well, on the Companion's Tale, the game has baked into it a lot of replay value inherently within its system. For you, I mean, every person's first time through a game is kind of figuring out and learning it. What are you excited most about players kind of really digging into a second playthrough, a third playthrough, and ultimately, what do you want them to take away from the process of Companion's Tale?
So I love this because I've played it so many times. And with different people, and sometimes people will come back and we play together again. I think that some of what's really interesting is being able to see how the theme cards. So the theme cards they govern how you create history. You use them to put together your companion. So they really drive the story, and they come back. So you use them in Act 1, Act 2, and then you bring them all back for Act 3. So it really kind of tinges the story. So seeing how the story changes. Also, there's a part in the beginning, the prologue, when you create the world. And depending on who you're playing with, which questions you choose to answer, it really changes how that world feels. So every time you play, it's different. And you kind of wind up with a connection with the people you're playing with. So I think that on those repeat plays, you have different people playing different roles, different ways of interpreting the cards or choosing to build something. So it really creates kind of a rich tapestry of play, and each time it's different. So before you even get into all the variations, we spent a lot of time writing variants of play so that we can expand and take on different subject matter or take on a little bit of a different feel and support it with rules. So there's just a kind of like a rich feeling of each time I step into this. It's kind of like a river. Every time you step in, it's different.
But what I think is really cool about it too is, and on top of just being a great game to play communally, it's kind of a baked-in world-building seminar. You're kind of tricking people into learning the skills that are necessary and the aspects of building a world that they normally, is depending on their experience level, not necessarily think about. And that to me is also one of the coolest aspects of it.
Seriously, and speaking of world building, this huge through line of creating the world over and over, map making seems to be a big part of this, which is an underappreciated aspect of RPG. Shout out to all my cartographers out there. Is that a secret passion of yours that you've been able to slip into this game?
Oh wow, I think that it's something that I like. Occasionally, I read a book and there's a map. I'm like, oh, okay, this kind of helps me figure out a place. I think that it really that ignited for me when I was playing A Quiet Year. It's another game. You're making a map, but it becomes kind of an important part of the story. And I just wanted to kind of take that aspect and really just see how far I could push it. How can I take it where it's not just events, but it's like, okay, so we're going to layer over culture and there's going to be a bit of history here. So it's not just places and you really kind of wind up with something that the players have like a knowledge of. So it's not just a map like, oh, this is where things are taking place, but it's their story and it's something that's special to them. Often people will send me pictures of their maps and they're saying, okay, it doesn't make sense, but this happened and that happened. And you really feel like, oh, something really special happened here. And I love it when people share that with me. So it's something that I really love seeing. It's something I really, it's a part of the game that is really such a fun artifact after gameplay is over.
Your game may be creating budding cartographers as we speak.
It's true. Now, in addition to Companion's Tale, you've also made a number of other amazing storytelling games, notably Driving to Reunion and Space Hunters, which are also based around kind of the idea of micro nano games. Can you elaborate a little bit on those games for the audience, as well as kind of what is the meat and potatoes behind nano games that draws you to that genre?
Sure. So Driving to Reunion, it is about a 50-minute nano LARP where each of the players play different people who are all carpooling to go to their college reunion. And it's even more niche than that. So it's they have different particular roles, names, and they have just this intergenerational conflict. So it's interesting because for a lot of players, they come in and they read the roles and it's a game that I've been like working with, like, okay, how else could I explore this and try to have this sort of play. But what I like about nano games is that you're able to jump in and just kind of write down everything that would support this feeling, and you make just a few mechanics. So it's very everything's really finely crafted, and then you're able to jump away and just keep going. I think it's very art-like, where you're able to just kind of make something very quickly and it explores this particular idea, and then you could explore another idea, or maybe even poetry, I guess. It's a like have like a little jewel of something fun. And I really enjoy it because sometimes you feel like a long campaign, sometimes you feel like something like just for this afternoon, Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's role-playing games classically have always been presented as such a long-form type of storytelling that people often bounce off of the idea of having that much time investment. So it's wonderful that there are more and more games that can get really into the meat of a role-playing experience, especially a collaborative role-playing experience, but not ask so much of your time. That's fantastic. Yeah.
Man, all of this talk just makes me want to go play a role-playing game right
now.
Like right this very minute.
I kind of want to jump in. Like I've yet to play Companion's Tale myself. I've read a bunch about it because I've been really intrigued, and now I'm just kind of trying to figure out how to do it online with friends now because I really want to play.
Absolutely. It's just such an interesting, different perspective from the classic heroes' journeys that we always hear about. So I can't thank you enough for bringing this incredibly detailed and diverse and complex game to all of us, which won an award. I just want to mention that again to everybody. This is an award winner who we are speaking to.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us where we can find you? What are your socials? Where we can keep up with your work?
Sure. So sweetpotatopress.com. So we'll link to everything that's being sold by us. Companion's Tale is available right now on Indie Press Revolution, so IPR. It's a indie game website where they sell other indie games. They're really fantastic people to work with. So I just want to give a plug for them. Also, I have a nano game that is coming out. It's being published by Simon & Schuster. It's in the micro RPG anthology. So me and a bunch of other indie game designers wrote a bunch of tiny little games. So it's a great opportunity for you to just go through and play games that could be done in just a few hours. And also, there is more from Campaign's Tale that's coming. It's in the works. So have a way to play it online with your friends really easily. So
I love it. Thank you for that. And you mentioned earlier the hashtag feminism compilation as well, right? That's
Pelgrane Press, but I think you also buy it at IPR as well. Let's see. So that's where most of the things that we've got published are. And there'll be more. So we're right now, I'm just absorbing everything, and we're working on a few things. So hopefully there'll be more in 2021.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Laura. Really appreciate it. Keep being amazing and putting out amazing work, and we're going to keep consuming it and shouting it from the mountaintops. So
heck yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
RPGs are for everyone, no matter what your age, and no one exemplifies that better than the D&D Grandma and the family that games together. An actual play podcast where an actual family plays D&D. Now, it's hilarious and a heartwarming game helmed by Vincent Pontillo, set in his homebrew world of Aranis, starring his family of Dungeoneers, most notably his mom, the incomparable D&D Grandma. Take a look.
20.
Not 20.
Mama's gonna knock you out.
So if you'd like to describe how Toll the Dead is going to pull his energy out.
It's gonna pull it out his nostrils.
Wow, what a battle. I thought you were about to say his ass.
Out his nostrils.
Okay.
The family that games together uploads new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, CastBox, and Pocket Casts. And you can support their Patreon through the links below.
Which everyone should, because this is the most adorable thing I've ever seen, heard of, or witnessed, or experienced in my life.
It's incredible. I'm a big fan of families playing games. Like I grew up gaming with my family, not necessarily RPGs, because my parents kept flirting and it made it awkward. But I love more excuses, especially in a more digitally distant world, for families to get together at a table and have fun and tell stories together. And multi-generational role-playing games to me just warm my heart. And so seeing a family like this get together and play the game and then open it up for the world like this, knowing how nerve-wracking that process can be, I have so much love and respect for them.
Absolutely. And the fact that the DM himself is creating this entire new world just for his family and is putting so much love and care and effort into telling a story with them and bringing in friends and other members of the family. And it seems like something that is started as just a fun little wholesome thing, but has grown into something more. But the more and more it grows, the more beautiful it becomes and more heartwarming it becomes. And I could tell that it's bringing so much love and happiness to everybody who participates, which nothing could go wrong. Like that's just 10 out of 10.
Yeah. And it's such a perfect example of the adage that it's never too late to play games.
Yeah.
You're never too old to play games.
Yeah. And
you can enjoy telling a story along with people no matter your age and, age disparity across the table. And honestly, it often leads to some hilarious antics as you get to watch, what you would, by all accounts, assume to be a very wholesome, lovely, sweet grandma just get ruthless.
Yeah. And that's another thing about D&D, that sometimes people see it as daunting or inaccessible. And I think that the more that everyone can see that anyone can play D&D, it's just going to open up this wonderful, beautiful thing that we love and cherish to everyone. I feel like everybody needs to play D&D more. You get to know yourself better. You get to know the people you play with better. And nothing's wrong there. Good. Just good. Tie up with a little bow.
I'm all about demystifying the challenge of getting into role-playing games that has kind of hung around the whole genre for generations now. and they do a really good job here. In fact, let's go ahead and talk to Vincent and Victoria from the podcast directly.
Hello, and welcome. Thank you guys for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here.
Yeah.
We're very excited. We're excited to have you. So just for the audience, can you guys give us a little background, who you are, introduce yourselves, what do you guys do?
My name's Vinny. This is my wife, Victoria. I am the DM, and she is a player in the Family That Games Together podcast, starring the D&D Grandma, my mother, and her mother-in-law.
So wholesome. So cute. I mean, what is it like to be on a show as a family? This is such a rare occurrence to have it as a podcast. I mean, you hear about D&D family games starting, but you guys have created like an actual show out of it.
Yeah. It started, we just had a home game going, and my sister and brother-in-law wanted to learn the game, and we joined them in. And it was actually Victoria's idea, who said, I think this would be good for your mom. And I was admittedly skeptical. I thought this might be a bit much for her, but she took to it, and we started sharing on our Facebook just like photos and videos of her playing, and people started to comment very much like you just did, saying, oh my God, this is beautiful. Mm-hmm. People started sharing stories about their parents and how they wish they could have gamed with them. Mm-hmm. And we kind of had the idea, like, I think we should put this out there. Like, I think people should see this. And my mother torpedoed immediately any idea of a Twitch or a YouTube. She said, absolutely no video under any circumstances, but she agreed to audio. So that's how the podcast was born.
Yeah. She still doesn't believe it though. There's a lot of, why do people care about me? And we're like, totally. Because you're awesome. Totally. Like we're always trying to reassure her.
She does not see it in herself at all. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
As a person who's tried in the past to get my parents to play, I had a couple of failed experiences in high school to get them to play D&D, not because they weren't interested necessarily, more than the fact that they just kept flirting with each other and I couldn't run the game anymore. I was like, parents.
Horrifying.
But so getting to see what you guys put together with your family, from your perspective, how has it been getting your mom into D&D, watching her come to the table as a fresh player, picking up the rules so quickly, and then getting as invested in the stories as you guys have always been?
I was just going to say, I would say it's not necessarily that she picks up the rules so quickly. We do have to help her a lot with them, but that she's so engrossed into the story and she loves being at the table with her family. So whenever you ask her, what's your favorite part of D&D? It's being with her kids. And she always will just sit. And whenever Vin's like doing like a big, theatrical moment, she just sits and is like, just so proud of watching her kids. And, she gets into it in her own way, but that's what she comes back for time and time again. It's just like seeing us every month, Yeah.
I love that. And don't be too down on her, on the rules thing. I've been running a game for 7 adults for years, and they still need reminders on occasion. So she's on the level. She's on the level.
Absolutely.
I was about to say, come on, like we all need to refer to the handbook from time to time. Come on.
Absolutely.
It's this big. Come on. That's only one of them.
If she forgets something, she gets like so down on herself, and I'm just like, Mom, are you having fun? Yes, then you're playing D&D right. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
There it is. Yeah. Tell her all the pros still don't understand sorcery points. Like nobody does. We all just wing it.
Or like it's advanced calculus for D&D.
And there's so much math. Like
a lot of math.
That's one good thing about playing with my family is my brother-in-law always sits directly to the right of me. Mm-hmm. And if any of our podcast family knows very well, is that he is our mathematician. Mm-hmm. Like whenever I roll as a sorcerer and I roll like this many D6s and I just take my little thing and go, here you go. This is math me. Your turn.
You always got to have one mathematician at the table or a calculator.
That would be him.
I love it.
It's too much. It's too much.
Oh, well, I got to ask, as a DM, it's probably nerve-wracking to target your friends and your family and, anybody that's important to you with spells, but like, how is it to target your mom and have your mom go up against things? Because like that could come back to bite you.
Yes, it can. I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect, but I do my very best to separate myself from what's being run at the table. It's like, I'm not doing this to Mom. The Lich is doing this to Kara. You know, I do my very best to keep that separation, but they give it right back to me in tenfold. There's the famous fireball on the pirate ship that mom dropped on me once, which was awesome.
Didn't care that it was made of wood. Just wanted
the ship. You could have made a meme out of this. There was a pirate ship coming. I set up a pirate. You know, you're at sea, so what am I gonna do? It's gonna be a pirate ship, of course. And Mom asks, "How far away is it?" I'm about 100 feet.
Oh no!
Fireball.
Oh no!
And I said, "Okay, Mom. That's fine. I just want you to know it's made of wood." And it is a pirate ship. Mm-hmm. I didn't ask about the ship. Fireball. It was one of the classic Mom moments.
So then they play the whole thing out, and then he goes, "By the way, you just sunk all your treasure."
Fireball.
Everything is gone.
Fireball. It is every player's secret mission to annoy the DM as much as possible. So I'm glad that your mom is catching on to this.
Of course, absolutely.
And to be fair, there's no experience that quite quantifies the true Dungeons and Dragons at the table joy than just wantonly throwing a fireball at some place without really inquiring any possible ramifications. That is core D&D right there.
Yeah,
100%.
There's a shaft in the ground. You don't know where it goes. I'll just drop a fireball right there.
Yeah.
It's a utility spell, right?
Just clear it out, you know?
You're bargaining with that shopkeeper. Fireball.
He said it's too expensive for me to afford. Fireball. That'll kill him. And?
It's very weird.
And you can take it after he's dead.
Yeah.
Uranus is weirdly fireproof these days. Actually, to that point, Vincent, you are currently working on a campaign guide for the homebrew world of your campaign, Uranus. If I heard that correctly.
Yes, I kind of fanboyed when I heard you say the name Uranus, not going to lie.
Well, as a person who has undergone this seemingly daunting task and I'm really excited for you, what is it? Well, tell us a little bit about kind of the overall themes of Uranus for those who aren't familiar with your show, and how is it exploring and shaping it around the experience with your family's storytelling?
That's kind of the main reason why I'm taking up my sweet time with it, because I want everything that they're doing to become canon. I want everything that's happening in the podcast, that's happening at the family game table, I want it to be canon in the world. So the campaign guide is kind of being written by all of us as we play, sort of. And I've got it kind of divided into 4 geographic regions, and the geography is based loosely on Earth. Like there's a North America, which is like the human kingdom. Currently they're in the elven kingdom of Valorous. The previous campaign took place in the Dwarven Kingdom, and then I have like an unsettled desert land that's all tribal and, you know, different warlords jockeying for position kind of stuff. But that's sort of why I'm not rushing the campaign. I want the campaign guide. I want everything that they're doing to be part of building that.
Hell yeah, that's the way to do it. Both for your own sanity, and for the fact that you get to allow everyone to be part of that creation process, whether they realize it or not, which is awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about the family playing together. So of course, I mean, I've got to make them part of it.
Yeah.
Aww.
Love that.
It's like a family guide.
A little bit.
Yeah. I find that a huge part of D&D is this emphasis on family, whether it's blood relation or found family. And now that we're all kind of, you know, home, a lot of people are moving home to be with their loved ones to make quarantine a little bit easier. Do you have any advice for people that maybe want to start a D&D campaign with their household and their family?
First, to any fledgling DMs out there, you don't need to know all the rules to DM. That is one of the main things I hear but I don't know enough about the game. It doesn't matter. Just get in there and start playing. As far as I don't want to just go to the old trope of have confidence in yourself, but kind of it is like have confidence in you're the guide here, and just know the general idea of your world, know the general story plot points, and allow the players freedom to expand and let them write the game with you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I would say for us, when we bring people into the game, not just family, but like, again, found family, people who, we would never have any idea that they'd be interested in it. And they wind up being like, oh, what do you guys do this Saturday? We're like, we're playing with the family, and they immediately get interested. And then we'll bring them over another day. And we just, you have to find what is exciting them in the game, like people who prefer the role playing other than the math, and then like some people are all combat and don't really care about the role playing. So, different types of games are out there and different types of players, and you kind of have to find the right groove with your group and the balance within your group. Who, like Matt, Critical Role is a lot of role playing, like you really let your players develop their characters a lot. Players that we've played with in the past, it's all battle,
Yeah.
but they're enjoying themselves just as much as anybody else does. So it's all about finding the right group all together.
No, that's wonderful advice. And to that point, like I came up in wargaming as well as role-playing games, and I've run campaigns that are both RPG, or role play or focused and more battle combat strategy focused. And both are very enjoyable if you have the right group that's on the same page to enjoy that type of gameplay. Or if you have a mix, kind of find that in-between point where you can balance both sides of it, and possibly even they might learn they enjoy the other side of the room as well.
Yeah.
But no, that's sound advice. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming and joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us. To have a conversation with you guys and to kind of meet you virtually, which is what everybody's doing these days.
Exactly. Hey.
But we love you guys so much, and we're just excited to see you guys.
Definitely love what you both are doing. I'm sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, by all means, go.
I love what you both are doing. Mica, we're huge fans of you and everything that you're doing. And Matt, you've influenced me more as a storyteller than I think anyone else. So just thank you both so much.
Yeah.
This has been so wholesome.
I know.
This has been so fun to hang out and chat D&D.
Come over for dinner and you'll realize we're not that wholesome.
Oh, there's the New Jersey. There it is.
Oh, well, please give our love to the rest of the family. Give our love to Mom.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys on the internet soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. We love you.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Thank you.
This month's Critter Flag Salute is dedicated to one of the most unique game stores in Southern California, Geeky Teas and Games in Burbank. Not only do they have an extensive inventory of games, minis, and accessories, but they also sell geek-inspired tea blends, such as the wonderfully named Dead Poolong, a tea that tastes so good it breaks the fourth wall. And if that wasn't enough cuteness for you, it also has a fully operational cat rescue shelter in the store, adorably named Geekitties Cat Rescue. And also, did I mention the best part, which is that the president is a cat, and he wears a little bow tie and he runs around the store, and I love him so much, and I'm just
It's
Sorry,
pretty fantastic.
I really love cats.
Same. I grew up with a number of them. I can't help but not envision, like a very Studio Ghibli interior to this cat rescue.
I just imagine instead of like soot sprites, tiny little like baby ethereal cats running about doing stuff.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, this would be a Caleb Haven. Definitely.
This would be, yeah. Except these cats are wearing suits.
See, there you go. I'm all for it. I love the idea of there being more and more geek-centric community spaces beyond just general game stores. I love game stores, and I'm glad that there are many out there. But I love the idea of somebody that takes the ideas even further, that mixes genres of experiences and creates a whole unique place to congregate with people. Although congregation is a little challenging right now.
True.
Whenever we emerge from this time, I'm looking forward to seeing and experiencing this myself, as I've heard about it many, many times and just hadn't had the opportunity to actually visit myself. And the more I learn about it, the more I realize how much I've been missing out on.
Same. And I think that in addition to geek spaces being a thing, the fact that people are taking more non-geek-centric hobbies and mashing them with nerd culture, like teas that are blended and named after characters or an idea from a show or a Game of Thrones house or something like that. Like, I love seeing that. I love seeing the wax melts that smells like, I don't know, your favorite location, like the TARDIS or something. It's just cool to see people take other creative ventures and combine them with nerd culture because we vibe with that so hard. Of course, I want to be sitting there watching a Doctor Who episode and tasting the 10th Doctor's blend. You know, it's something that makes you connect to the things that you love even deeper.
So that's what the 10th Doctor tastes like.
Okay, now we're going down a different road, Matt.
Sorry. What also really dear to my heart, honestly, is then not just creating businesses and spaces around this aspect of community, but then doing good with it. You know, perpetuating ways to help the community, ways to bring a little more light into the world, and they do that through Geeky Teas, Cat Rescue, and the IneedAhealer.com initiative that they're pushing forward. And I think that's just brilliant.
It's absolutely brilliant. And we get to talk to the brilliant woman herself, Donna, who's in charge of all of this. So let's get into that.
Well, hi, Donna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This is so fun.
I'm loving your background. Like, I feel like everybody who we always talk to and interview, I'm obsessed with seeing what's going on. Like, is that a BB-8?
Yes.
Look at him.
It's so cute.
So cute. I feel like we just look into everybody's soul a little bit when we see what's going on in everybody's backgrounds.
Go ahead. I'm not as happy with my Potter fandom right now.
Yeah. But the Claymore makes up for it in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the one I hit people with.
There you go. That works well.
I'm impressed with your strength. That looks huge and terrifying.
Well, it's not quite as heavy as it looks, but yes. Okay. Again, my favorite piece of recreation is running a football field length with that thing and hitting people half my age. It's so good.
I respect that. And weirdly good cardio.
Yeah.
It really is. And you don't feel the pain until like it's all over and you're in your tent and you're like, where did I get that scratch? Am I bruised? Like
That's badass.
I now have picked up that you're talking about LARP because I was like, this is either LARP or the Purge. I'm not sure which one. Tent means it's LARP. Okay.
It's a little bit of both, to be honest.
True.
Yeah.
Sounds out okay. Well, how's everything going with you? What's going on with Geeky Teas, your fantastic company in these current weird times?
It's I'm sure you probably have guessed it's a little quieter around here. My game room is not full of people right now, and that's kind of sad. I don't hear that noise right now, but the store itself is doing great. We kind of peeled back and tightened our belts, and we were in a place to be able to do that. So we're going to be fine. We're going to get through this, but I do miss the people.
And speaking of the people, can you tell viewers that may not be as familiar with your game rooms full of people a little bit what your live events were like, what you guys were about, what you were doing?
Oh, gosh, our live events, the just joy in my life. We had improv classes that happened, open mic nights. We had murder mysteries. We had I was doing my own board game show called Bad Board Games and Booze that had like Vince Casso and the gang, and I play board games that are rated a 3 and below.
Oh.
And no one has played them before on the show. They have to be at least 10 years old, and we have to get pissed drunk doing it. And it was a live studio audience show, and I miss it so much. I think my liver is starting to repair itself, and that's kind of sad because it's going to be a lightweight when we go back.
Well, there you go. It'll help on the booze budget then.
Oh, I could write it off.
That's true.
Oh,
that's a valid point. Well, to go back even further, like, what initially inspired you to get into the tea business, and let alone combine that with running like a friendly local game store and kind of merging those endeavors together?
It happened the other way around. I used to have the world's first brick and mortar steampunk clothing store, Clockwork Couture. And because it was all Victorian based, teas just kind of came in because we had British import foods at the time. And it made sense then. And we started having secret game nights after the store was closed with customers who have become friends. And eventually, steampunk started to lose steam. It showed a 75% drop in Google searches, and I knew it was time after 7 years. So I got rid of that part and just made the other parts bigger that I had fallen in love with. So it was a weird transition.
That's interesting. It was kind of one of those, unexpected but necessary adaptations in market and making something wholly new and like a home for a lot of people that missed that, social gaming atmosphere, myself included. It's hard to find. It's one of the things I really miss and look forward to whenever we can escape from our personal bubbles again. But, growing up around game stores, having that social atmosphere and the opportunity to meet other gamers and new people in the place that are all there for the same reason. And then on top of that, finding your own combination of what you used to do within that company and what you really enjoyed about that and bringing it to this new community is really, really cool.
What was your first game store, both of you? Just curious.
My first game store is different from my first real game store community, I guess. My first game store was a place called Last Grenadier that was out here. Yeah, really?
Yeah.
That back when it used to be in Burbank, and then it moved to like Deep Valley. And it was like where I got my first game books and bought my first kind of dice and paraphernalia from. And then from there, my first gaming community experience was a place called the Collectors Asylum, which was up in the Agora Hills, Thousand Oaks area, anywhere I lived. That's where we played Magic the Gathering after school. That's where I began to meet other gamers and began wargaming and playing Warhammer and stuff. What about you, Mica?
I was a little on the nerdier gaming side. My first game store was Toy Mandala in the Valley because that's where they sold like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that and like a bunch of Pokemon cards. So that was my first introduction to gaming. But tabletop gaming was later in college, and it was Vault of Midnight in Ann Arbor, Michigan. My heart goes out to them. They were like my nerd sanctuary over on Main Street.
They still around?
They are, yeah, they're still around. Vault of Midnight.
Wow.
They did deny me a job application 3 times when I was trying to work there. It's okay. I still love them. I still support them.
Cool.
But it was a very weird, surreal experience. That was my first game store, and I went back to visit campus, and there were Critical Role figures in the store, and I was like, this is weird.
That's very weird.
It was very, very weird.
And vindicated, I feel. Yeah.
I didn't want to mention because the people that worked at the counter were the people that I applied for there. So I didn't want to like saltily mention anything. I just kind of, bought my manga and left. But a part of me wanted to like slap the figurines down at the table and be like, but yeah. I didn't.
Could have had this.
Right, but you didn't. We were talking about you grew up, Matt, in game stores. I grew up in tea shops as a weird child. So hearing that you have created these nerdy tea blends as the tea fanatic inside of me, I just want to know, how did you come up with this? Do you have as much of a weird fascination with tea and flavors as I do? What started that passion?
Well, I can't claim to have the weird passion for flavors that you do because I don't know yet, but give me half an hour and I will make you a few cups of tea and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Oh, that's just so cool.
I think it started with Earl Grey Hots because it seemed so, it made sense, right? Like there's no other way. And then we started doing things like Dead Poolong and the puns just kept coming. Our mother's milk says you can't take this chai from me. Like it just kept going and going and going. And before you know it, we've got like 50. I'm working on The Witcher right now, which is gooseberries and lilac. Yeah.
You should make like a really intense tea and call it the Trial of the Grasses.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Okay. All right. That's some deep cuts going on, and I like it.
You should make a really floral, fruity tea and call it the Yaskier. No, I'm kidding.
Yes.
Perfect.
So and it actually sounds better than it really is.
Right, exactly.
So something else you've been involved with, referred to as Geekitties Cat Rescue. If you could explain a little bit what that's about and how folks can get involved with helping support that endeavor.
Oh, happily. I currently have 8 kittens for adoption right now, and they are all wonderful and need homes. But that again started with the steampunk clothing company. It was Clockwork Couture because the clothing store was Clockwork Couture. And, when we changed things, we had to change that too. And Geekitties, I think, is my new favorite. It started because somebody brought me some kittens. They knew that I had cats and they didn't know what to do. And it was a store down the street. And so I put a webcam on them and got them adopted. And that was 12 years ago. So
that's
400 and something cats later, a horse, 5 dogs, a snake, a hedgehog, some ferrets, squirrels.
That's amazing. Holy crap.
The horse really caught me by surprise. That one I wasn't expecting.
Gus the Wonder Horse. I have pictures of him. Actually, I don't know if you can actually see it, but that's Will and Anne and Doug Jones, Colin Ferguson. Who else is in there?
Wow.
And Ashley Clements as my mother.
Oh, Ashley, yeah.
Yeah, from the clothing store. And Doug, I just made him that much taller because we made him a huge hat.
That's what Doug needs, is to be taller.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's so cool. I'd like to imagine all those animals in one room. That would have been an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
But that's wonderful. I find a lot of the best things tend to happen organically. You didn't really set out to do it, but over time you just kind of went, maybe we should turn this into a thing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Although I do think the coolest part is the president of Geeky Teas himself happens to be a cat. And I have, oh my God, there he is, sir. It's an honor and a privilege, first of all, to be in your presence. And I need to ask, how does one go about being so brilliant and just so beautiful?
Have you actually seen him do like his tricks where he rings a bell and stuff in store? Oh yeah, no. High fives, the whole 9 yards. We taught him some tricks. Yep.
We need a whole separate interview session just for him. We just
for the cat.
Down.
We'll set something up. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we can get that.
I don't know if he'll do it right now. Hey, high five. Oh, he's gonna leave me hanging. High five. High five.
It's okay. He's camera shy. We understand. We get
hear him. He's gonna leave me hanging. That's so bad. Oh. I lifted the paw and then because I think of the camera.
He needs a raise. It's fine. We understand. He's striking.
I'm spoiled.
Give him
spoiled,
treats.
Buddy.
Give him treats.
Oh, look at the white whiskers.
Oh, what an angel. I love cats.
I know.
But you definitely have to come in now. I'll give you tea. You can play with kittens.
You got me at Dead Oolong because Oolong is my favorite tea. And then you had cats. It's like I may physically be here, but my soul is at Geeky Teas currently.
I won't turn down your job application.
You win. Thank you. You hear that, Vault of Midnight?
Boom.
Boom.
Well, Donna, thank you so much for joining us and for chatting with us and letting us and our larger audience know the amazing stuff that you've been doing and will continue to be doing. Where best can people find your exploits and the information about Geeky Teas in the future?
Oh, all of the exploits. Facebook, geekitties.com. We just started doing something called I Need a Healer, which we're working to create a system for therapists to use to help people with trauma, past abuse, work through it using Dungeons and Dragons.
That's wonderful.
And many people have spoken about using it that way, but we're actually writing a system. We're working with licensed psychologists to make it so that they know how to run these things, because so many of them aren't players, and hoping to help out. So I need a healer.com is there. Geeky Teas. We're accessible. We're friendly. We people call us Nerd Cheers for a reason, because we know your name and we're just really happy to see everybody.
Love that.
I love that so much.
Keep doing amazing work, Donna. We'll keep following you. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and chatting with us.
Absolutely.
Come in anytime. I have a garden that we've been doing socially distant movie nights. You can just come on over. We have an outdoor movie screen, and we'll Knights of Badassdom, or I don't know. We
Fantastic.
used to have Critical Role viewing parties, so.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
We'll keep the water hot, and we'll see you there.
Okay.
Indeed.
Thank you.
So that's our episode of Critter Hug. Thank you all for joining us.
Yay, that was fun. I love hugging people over the internet.
Me too. We got to finish out our fall episode.
It's so cool to have seasons. I feel like we need to start theming them a little bit more. Like, I'm really disappointed that we weren't in costume this time. Next episode, Santa outfits. Snow falling. Or, hear me out, elves, or reindeer, or frost giants.
Okay. You know, I love my frost giants in my holidays. Not joking. I think we need to reincorporate ice giants and frost giants into the lore of the North Pole. I think it's just...
Everyone knows that the North Pole is guarded by a family of frost giants, and originally, before reindeers, Santa Claus' sled was pulled by yetis. Does not everybody know that?
See, I want that movie. I want to see, like, people like, oh, Santa and his elves, every single gift in the world. Think of all the eBay money we can make. We're just going to go ahead and do the greatest heist of old St. Nick. And they get there, and there's just this giant sitting there armored up going, Mr. Claus didn't invite you. And just, it's be amazing. I'm on board. I'm a producer.
Matt, one shot.
Oh, no. Oh, yes.
Jingle bells, more like jingle hells.
There we go. I'm here for this. This would be great.
Oh, boy.
Aw, I love you, Mica.
I love you, Matt.
Miss you.
This is so enjoyable, even though, you know, it's virtual.
I know. But hey, you know, we'll take where we can get it. And
absolutely.
And thank you all so much for joining us. Please go support all these amazing people and wonderful projects that we managed to talk about today. More to come in the future, but until then, know that we love you very much. And
so much.
Go hug yourself.
Go hug yourself, everyone.
Ooh.